Welcome back. Before we get into all of the Rush albums over all of those decades, I wanted to find the long boxes because we're going to look at all the CDs and move on to vinyl. And I wanted to find, remember long boxes? As we transitioned away from vinyl, CDs came in these cardboard long boxes, right? And I have some. I have Roll the Bones, I have Chronicles, and maybe a couple of others before they were discontinued. They were done probably for environmental reasons. At least that's what I've heard. As if trees don't regrow. Trees are one of the most amazing resources we have. Why we have to spare paper, I'll never know. I love recycling. Nothing wrong with it. But we had got plenty of trees. Trust me. Fly over America sometimes and tell me if we're like lacking trees. With the 80s waning and the 90s right around the corner, Rush reinvented themselves once again, returning to be the preeminent power trio of prog rock. They did this with Presto. Fantastic album. There's the cover. And on here we have songs like, all right, there's the boys. Classic black and white. We have Show Don't Tell, Chain Lightning, The Pass, War Paint, Scars, Presto, Superconductor, Anagram, Red Tide, Hand Over Fist, and Available Light. Love Available Light. And I love Presto. And what's really funny is it wasn't until college, and I'm so embarrassed to admit this, that my friend Joel pointed out that the entire song of Anagram is a bunch of anagrams, wherein you take one word and from that one word you make other words, or in this case, a sentence to make other sentences, other parts of the sentence. For example, man, I can't even begin to read this. But the saint is turning to sin. Okay, so within the word saint, you can find the word sin. And so anyway, anagram, it's just, I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, are you serious, Joel? And I felt really embarrassed that I never noticed that. I listened to it. I knew the lyrics. I knew the song. I knew anagram really well. But it took Joel pointing that out. I have to admit, Joel, let's see, he's a physics professor. I can't even say it. That runs a physics department. Okay, he teaches university level quantum mechanics and physics. And who am I, right? I'm just some dude who makes videos. So yeah, you can tell like there's an intelligence gap there. So it took Joel to point out that anagram was when it was. Next up, highly underrated this album is. This is such a fantastic album, Roll the Bones. And this was the first time that I got to see Rush live. Right there, guys, my concert ticket. Worcester, Mass. Worcester. And you can see, of course, it's spelled Worcester, right? But anyone in the know, and of course, up there in Massachusetts where I lived, it was Worcester, because that's how we say things up there. You know, we get in a car and we go down to Worcester to see Rush. That's just what we do. All right, so but anyway, some really cool stuff. All this skull stuff, bone stuff, Roll the Bones. Fantastic album. Dreamline. One of the best ways to start any Rush concert is Dreamline. Followed by Bravado. Beautiful, beautiful song. Roll the Bones. Of course, the somewhat polarizing rap in the middle, but I like it. It's just a period of the times, but it was done as a parody. It was done as pure satire. Face Up, Where's My Thing, which is an instrumental, of course. The Big Wheel, Heresy, Ghost of a Chance, Neurotica, and You Bet Your Life. I love it, You Bet Your Life. Such a great song. So Roll the Bones, fantastic album, and for me, very special. The first time I got to see Rush. It's where I keep my concert ticket, so I never lose it. Right on the heels of that, I'm like my maybe sophomore year of college. And back then, without the internet that we have today, okay, there was no Twitter. We had a little thing called Yahoo. We could do some searching. Google wasn't even into its full what it is now, okay? Not even close. But yeah, Counterparts came out. And why do I bring up the internet? Because information moved a little bit slower back then. And I remember one time we were going to do our laundry. Okay, we have, our big sacks of dirty laundry. We're going down to the campus laundromat. And so it's across campus from our dorm, and we're going there. And on the radio, okay, we have it on a local rock station. And on this local rock station, they're like, yeah, we're going to be interviewing Rush about their new album. And they were going to play some tracks. Let's just say there was no laundry done that night. We just sat, Joel and I sat in our other friend's car for a couple of hours just listening to the interview and hearing all the new tracks off of Counterparts. In the years following, starting then and up until today, Counterparts remains one of my very favorite albums. Probably because it reflects the time that I was in. It reflects a special point in my life. The lyrics hit home so hard and so potently in so many levels. And so Counterparts, I love Counterparts. I've talked about this many times with you guys. You know how I feel about it. And of course, this was the second time. The last time was in Worcester, Mass. And then this was the beginning of what would be many, 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 many years up until this past year when I saw Dream Theater, to where Joel and I go to Texas to see Rush many times, and then in later years to see Dream Theater. Texas has just been the place to go. So, it was close to our college and everything. So the point is, yeah, there's my concert ticket for Counterparts. Of course, Animate. Such a brilliant, beautiful song. Stick It Out. We did that live. My band, our Joel and I, we had a college rock band, and I got to sing "Stick It Out," dream come true, getting to perform a Rush song. Cut to the Chase, Nobody's Hero, Between Sun and Moon, still one of my all-time favorites. That song, Alien Shore, fantastic song. Again, I hold that if our society would simply listen to Alien Shore and just do the things that it talks about, right? These are just fundamental truths of life and how we should treat one another. That race doesn't matter. Our sex doesn't matter. The differences between us, again, it's going back to that once again. Our common bonds are what unite us and are what the true fellowship between all of us, men, women. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter how much pigment you have in your skin. Alien Shore, beautiful, beautiful song. And man, I'm so glad Neil wrote that. The Speed of Love, Double Agent, love that song. The choice between good and evil or right and wrong. It's just so brilliant, so beautiful. Leave That Thing Alone, an instrumental, Cold Fire. I wanted to make a music video when I was in college. One of our assignments was to do a music video because, I studied TV and film production. And it was my dream. I even picked out to make a music video for Cold Fire. And I actually picked out two kids that I just knew on campus. They didn't know each other, but I'm like, you would be good and you would be good. I had the guy and the girl picked out to reenact and make a music. I never got to make that video. I wish I could go back in time. A little time machine travel and and make that video, because that's some unfinished business. A little bucket list right there. Making a music video for Cold Fire. And finally, Everyday Glory. Beautiful, haunting, amazing song. So, one of my all-time favorites, Counterparts. After that, Test for Echo. The third time in a row, I got to see Rush. An evening with Rush at, where we see him, Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas. December 3rd, 1996. December 3rd is days before I got married. I got married later that month in December on 1996 to my beautiful wife, with whom we now have 4 children. We're still happily married all these years later, nearly 30 years later. And I love that I got to see Rush just days before our wedding. It's kind of cool. So, yeah, what do we have on here? We have, of course, we have Test for Echo. And then Driven, such an awesome song. Half the World, Color of Right, Time and Motion. I love Time and Motion. Totem, Dog Years, Virtuality, Resist, Limbo, and Carve Away the Stone. Carve Away the Stone. I'm always reminded of some like biblical themes with that song. And I can talk about that sometime if you want. Of course, let's count them up, guys. Well, Presto 1, Roll the Bones 2, Counterparts 3, Test for Echo 4, 4 albums, and then a what? Well, a little bit different this time. In all seriousness, it was right after this that the tour for Test for Echo, that Neil lost his daughter, and within a year or so lost his wife. Of course, we know there were the dark years, in every sense of the word, for Rush. And during that time, the next thing that was released was a live album, and that's called Different Stages. Fantastic, fantastic album, which opens with Dreamline. What did I say? That's why it was so awesome. Like, I love anything that opens with Dreamline. It's just fantastic. All right, so yeah, this is a double album, okay? Made up of a couple of concerts, I believe, 2 or 3 maybe, and then a really vintage recording. Let's see, I'm trying to read the date here. I think it might be 78. Yes, so anyway, came with, right here, the Hammersmith, all right, the Odeon recording. So yeah, there you go. 4 albums and a live album. They even maintained that during the dark years. You gotta love that. So following Different Stages, we know that there was some time off, if you will. When Neil found Carrie, found love again, got married. Eventually, I believe he told the boys that, I'm going to need some gainful employment. And eventually, Neil got back in the studio. And with much, a little bit of reluctance and nervousness, if you will, but the boys, they got back to it. And they found their feet again. And this time, they came out roaring. And I liken this album, and I compare it to Rush, like a not angry, but a very determined and loud. But there is a lot of anger on this album, yeah. So an angry garage band, right? It's just got a raw sense to it. That's what I hear. Vapor Trails. Yeah, this is the return of Rush. Okay, so good. Such an amazing album. Of course, we have One Little Victory. It was a huge victory, as Alex puts it in the documentary. Huge victory that they were back. But this song talks about one little victories. Sailing Unlimited, Ghost Rider. Of course, we've already talked about the book, Ghost Rider. And then Neil had written like a poem or lyrics, and Geddy wanted to make a song out of it. So they did. Track 3, Ghost Rider. Peaceable Kingdom. All right, take 2 on tracks. All right, so the first track is One Little Victory. And of course, it was a huge victory, the fact that they were back. But the first track talks about the one little victories. Sailing Unlimited, Ghost Rider. Of course, Neil wrote lyrics about Ghost Rider, and Geddy wanted to make a song out of it. It was kind of like a poem or something like that. But they made the song Ghost Rider. Peaceable Kingdom, The Stars Look Down, How It Is, Vapor Trails. Or Vapor Trail. I always pluralize that. Vapor Trail, such a great song. One of my favorite songs. I love Vapor Trail for a bunch of reasons. I can talk about that sometime. Secret Touch. The Power of Love. Not the Huey Lewis kind, but a secret touch on the heart. So amazing. And, Neil was working through a lot of stuff for this album. And in many ways, these lyrics are some of his most personal. And there's anger and there's frustration, but there's also rediscovering love once again. And you can hear all of that in here. You can hear his state of mind. And Secret Touch is a good example of that. Earthshine, cool song. Sweet Miracle, Nocturne, Freeze, which is cool, which is part 4 of Fear, I believe, and Out of the Cradle. Now, I'm not sure the full story on this, but someone, fans and or Rush, were not happy with the mix. And that might be a universal thing. Vapor Trails. So there came Vapor Trails Remixed. And that's what this is. Slightly different cover art. Okay. I kind of dig this one. And then there's the back. So Vapor Trails Remixed. Obviously, it's the same album. Okay. Inside, original CD. And this is the remix CD. Okay. You can see some of the similar kind of art here and here. But yes, they remixed it. And you could definitely hear it a lot. And there are parts where they add some extra, there's extra Getty parts, right? Extra backing vocals, which they must have added some in Pro Tools and stuff. But yeah, it is a nicer mix. It's good stuff. So yeah, Vapor Trails, 2 versions. Next up, the boys went somewhere they'd never gone before. Sounds like the beginning of a sweet adventure, which in that was Rush in Rio. So yeah, the boys went down to Rio, okay, and were met with a couple of nights of 50, 60,000 rabid fans. And as far as I know, this was the first time that the audience spontaneously and in unison provided vocals for YYZ. They're singing along. They have vocal parts for this, at this point, 20-something years? Yeah, ish. Old song, okay, instrumental, and they provide vocal part. Anyway, that was just magical. And it was just amazing. They also made a documentary, which we just spoke of, on the Blu-ray. But yes, this is a 3 CD volume. And they come up with some really cool cover art, by the way. The dragon with the Mai Tai and the fruit hat and the beads. And so yeah, 3 different discs full of music, plus a couple of board bootlegs, which is Between Sun and Moon and Vital Signs. So disc 1, Tom Sawyer, and then Distant Early Warning, New World Man, Roll the Bones, Earthshine, and then YYZ. The Past, Bravado, Big Money, Trees, Free Will, Closer to the Heart, and Natural Science. Disc 2, One Little Victory, Driven, Ghost Rider, Secret Touch, Dreamline, Red Sector A, Leave That Thing Alone. Sounds like a scab you shouldn't pick. Hey, leave that thing alone. Oh Barista, Resist, and 2112. And then disc 3, Limelight, La Via Strangiato, Spirit of Radio by Torn the Snow Dog, Cygnus X-1 / Working Man. Good stuff. Rush in Rio. Next up, as I drop all my CDs everywhere, is 30th anniversary. Okay? It's time. So this will be around, 2004? 30th anniversary. And this is what's cool, that Rush, to celebrate, doesn't put out a new album per se, not in the traditional sense. They record a bunch of covers. Yeah, of course you guys know this. It's called Feedback. There's that classic picture you guys know. And on here, they grew up listening to English blues and rock, and they had this wide variety of influences, right? And these are their passion songs from their youth, the things that inspired them. Just as Rush has inspired so many of us, myself included, and so many of you who love to play drums. Rush has inspired us. Well, they were inspired once as well. Summertime Blues, Heart Full of Soul, The Seeker, For What It's Worth, Shape of Things, Mr. Soul, Crossroads, which is, I love their cover art, Crossroads, and 7 and 7 Is. Feedback. Check it out. To go along with that, and we've talked about this, okay? Yeah, when we talked about the DVDs, R30, but with that, this is the R30 30th anniversary live discs, okay? See right here. So I want to bring those out, these CDs. Okay, disc 1, disc 2. Now, what I didn't show earlier is this. This is such a cool, in that it came with all these patches. Vapor Trails, Rush, O2. Okay. And you can tell I've never put them on anything. I just like them in here. So that came with it. Also, it came with guitar picks, which I have since replaced. I put a couple of regular guitar picks in here. Let's see, a PV and a, what does that say? It doesn't matter. But this is where I put, so it came with a couple guitar picks autographed by Alex and Getty. They are now part of this. This is an original moving pictures, okay, vinyl cover. And as you can see, I have the Alex and the Getty guitar picks. I put them as part of this display. This is special, though, because Mike Mangini and John Petrucci autographed this. I brought this with me to Images, Words, and Beyond. When we saw them, we did a meet and greet with Dream Theater. And before they made me take away, we're supposed to have 2 items, right? And I do. I have their self-titled album signed by the entire band, and I have Images and Words vinyl signed by the entire band. So I have those 2 vinyls, all of Dream Theater, with Mike Mangini, signed it, but I had a third one. I wasn't supposed to have a third one. So right before the security or whoever dude made me put this away, I did get 2 autographs on this. Why did I have Dream Theater autograph Rush? Well, I know John loves them. All right, Dream Theater loves Rush. Okay, that's established. We're good there. But for me, it was a cross-section of my very favorite band, my second favorite band. I'm never going to get to meet Rush. I'd love to meet Rush. Okay, we all would. But since I probably will never get to meet Rush, I thought I'm going to have Dream Theater sign my Rush album, which happens to be an original moving pictures, by the way. So there's some value that, I mean, there's most of the values to me, of course. To me, this is kind of priceless. I don't think I would sell it, but yeah, that's what this is. Okay. So autograph picks from the boys of Rush, and then 2 autographs from Dream Theater. So that's where the guitar picks went, from the R30. There you go. You know, I should probably let me just keep these guitar picks out. My daughter might be able to use them. She plays guitar now, by the way, which is pretty cool. Is there any more goodies in here? That's it. Okay. That is our 30th anniversary of Rush. Fast forward to Snakes and Arrows. Great album. They used Nick this time as producer. Underneath my CD, I have right here Woodlawn's Pavilion. It's an outdoor theater down in Texas. Okay, August 14, 2007. And I actually took some time off from work. I had a bunch of points gathered up from all my travels, and by the Ouroboros, I love the snake eating his tail. Points gathered up, so I just used some points, hopped on an American airline, and flew all the way to College Station. My friend lives around there. And then we drove down to that pavilion in Texas. So, yeah, man, great concert. Loved every second of it. Joel and I had an amazing time visiting, but Snakes and Arrows, fantastic album. We have Far Cry. Awesome song. Armor and Sword. Love Armor and Sword. Working Them Angels. Larger Bowl. Spindrift. Main Monkey Business. The Way the Wind Blows. Great song. I love the little bluesy guitar riff in there. Hope. Beautiful instrumental by Alex. Faithless. Bravest Face. Good News First. Malignant Narcissism. Let's just flub that up. And then We Hold On. So there you go. Snakes. Now, when I say the boys are kings of all media, okay, I've pointed out music and lyrics and tours and videos and TV and movies and books. But also, do you guys remember that there was an app? I believe it was a Clockwork Angels app. Rush had an app for a while. I actually had it on my phone. In addition, this release, okay, so we're talking multimedia now. We're talking outside the regular type of media of, video and audio and stuff. This is a hybrid, okay, which I did mention before, but I'm bringing it up now because we're talking about, kings of all media, right? Well, okay. Yeah, we had an app for the phones. And this sucker, of course, is a hybrid disc. It's got video, it's got lyrics, it's got music, all in one disc. So this is a nice little segue before streaming truly took over. Snakes and Arrows. Following that, we had to do a live album, Snakes and Arrows Live. Of course, during that tour, we had the rotisserie chickens on stage. Okay? Which, man, that looks delicious. Wouldn't mind some rotisserie chicken right now. This is a double album. Okay? And let's see. I'll show you the inside. Book in the middle. Ged doing a cool thing on stage there. And by the way, this giant rug, I heard the boys talking about this in the years following, and Getty kind of wondered who ended up with that rug, right? Where did the Snakes and Arrows rug go that covered the stage? I believe Getty or Alex heard that a fan got it. If you're that person, if you're that guy that has the Snakes and Arrows rug, hey, let me know. I'd love to hear from you, because that's really cool. All right, so Snakes and Arrows live. We have Limelight, Digital Man, Entree New, and Mission, Farewell, Main Monkey Business, Larger Bowl, Secret Touch, Circumstances, Between the Wheels, Streamline, Far Cry, Working Them Angels, and Armor and Sword. That's disc 1. Disc 2, Spindrift, The Way the Wind Blows, Subdivisions, Natural Science. Yes. I guess I got to see that live that year. That's awesome. Witch Hunt, Malignant Narcissism, which goes into the Slag Worker. All right, so it goes into Neil's solo. Hope, Distant Early Warning, The Spirit of Radio, Tom Sawyer, and then the further encore, One Little Victory, Passage to Bangkok, and YYZ. Cool. That was awful. We come to the final album, the last Rush album. You all know what it is. Clockwork Angels. Hindsight's 2020. This is the 20th album by Rush, and in years following, it's only grown in its importance and how great it is, and how hauntingly beautiful and prophetic The Garden is. Such a beautiful song, The Garden, and there could not be a better album, a better song than The Garden to be the last musical message and gift from Rush. And that's Clockwork Angels. Of course, it starts off with Caravan, B-U-2-B, Clockwork Angels, The Anarchist, Carnies, Halo Effect, Seven Cities of Gold, The Wreckers, Headlong Flight, B-U-2-B 2, Wish Them Well in the Garden. I always thought that him using just the abbreviations B-U-2-B, Brought Up to Believe, I thought that was a wink and a nod, like a little satirical kind of thing to what we do now. Like, everything's abbreviated. No one wants to write anything out. You know how things are now with some people. I'm still old school. I'm like really old school. I type, and I actually have like Grammarly check my punctuation for my texts and my emails. A lot of you guys have written me back and forth, right? And you've noticed, but I'm very anal with how I communicate, especially with the written word. I'm very particular, and I want to. I just believe if you are intelligent, or at least you're trying to be, or posing to be, like me, then you want to express your thoughts and what you know and say to the very best. And could I over-explain that more? You are welcome. You are welcome. My goodness sakes. If you want, I could do another 10 minutes and drone on. I mean, you just hey, this deserves a. Maybe it doesn't. I gotta stop doing that. Okay, so yeah, guys, Clockwork Angels. It's great. The final album, except for Clockwork Angels Live. That tour, I didn't get to see that tour. And it really bums me out. You know, along the way, I did skip this one. We're going to talk about Time Machine in a second. Love Time Machine. Yeah, I didn't get to see Clockwork Angels. Just life got in the way. I'm not sure what the heck was happening, or maybe it was just that my life was imploding. I actually lost my career in the TV and film industry around that time because of my health stuff. Just love how I just love how you, Mike. It just sucks sometimes, right? Anyone who's ever dealt with health issues, whatever they may be. For me, it's neurological in my neck and my spine and surgeries, and then I have heart surgery, and then a fallout from that. You know, like with a big bow, I just have the worst freaking body in the world. This still works great. At least, yeah. Hold on, that's it. Yeah, some people might beg to differ that this still works great, but what I'm trying to say is this. In all seriousness, if I can be serious, my spirit is willing, right? I would go out and quote unquote conquer the world if I could. I would do everything in my power to do everything that I want to do, that I'm inspired to do, to create, to live my life to the fullest, to be everything I can be to my wife and my kids and my friends and you guys. And yet my body drags me down. But that's freaking life, right? That's life. Life ain't easy. It's the furthest thing from easy. And it just really sucks sometimes. It just does. And if so I say all that to say that, yeah, the crap that I've gone through has really just jacked my entire, I'm steering my ship. It's like I'm going out to sea and I'm trying to, go from America to England, right? And I'm in a sailboat, but I hit nothing but icebergs and storms and tsunamis, and I get a hole in my boat, meaning like I can't get from point A to point B because my method of travel is fundamentally broken and screwed up. And yet, that's just the way things are. And what do we have to do in those moments is A, do our best. B, just be thankful that we're alive, right? And I know that sounds so petty and trite, like I'm writing a greeting card. Who gives but I'm serious. I could be dead. I should be dead. And I think about the garden, okay? And I think about that song where, love and respect, family, what's truly important. Not that hourly grind that a lot of us go through. That just makes life unbearable sometimes, right? And if all we do is focus on the negative, this takes us back to earlier. How some people, that's all they do. And then the negativity defines them. And yet, like in the garden, when you focus on the positive, what you have, counting your blessings, your family, love, and respect, it's what truly matters. That defines you. That shapes who you are, like mentally and emotionally and spiritually. And that's important. So, that was a we're way off the path there, right? To say that I missed that concert. Yeah. You're welcome. Missed this one. I should have just said that and stopped. Disc 1. Yeah, let's do it. Disc 1. Subdivisions, Big Money, Force 10, Grand Designs, Body Electric, Territories, Analog Kid, Bravado, Where's My Thing, Into the Drum Solo, Far Cry. Disc 2, Caravan, Clockwork Angels, Anarchist, Carney's Records, Headlong Flight. Yeah, okay, this is where they're playing all of Clockwork Angels, okay? On Disc 2. Disc 3, Dreamline, beautiful. The Percussor. So this is where in Clockwork Angels Live, Neil actually had multiple drum solos. And he would do different explorations. And he was actually improvising live. He used to really compose everything really tight, okay, and work at everything. And actually, it's a composition, his drum solos. He started to move, and especially with the recording of this, he was allowing a lot more improv in his performance on this album. And then subsequently, his improv on stage and with his solos. So in those, quote, latter years, okay, especially in the Clockwork Angels era, Neil was just challenging himself to come up with parts and rhythms and ideas on the fly. True improvisation in the moment, which I love, because that's like the master test. You could be the best at your craft for decades, right? And Neil was. But to challenge himself, he threw out the rule book, threw away the paper in which he would write all those drum parts or the recordings of his ideas, and just go completely improv. And that's like the master test. And I think that just made him happy, because when he played well, that was the highest sense of joy and happiness for him, is being able to play something what you might call perfect, or just beautifully and just super well. So yeah, lots of drum solos on Clockwork Live. Red Sector A, YYZ, Spirit of Radio, and then Encore, Tom Sawyer, 2112. There's some bonus tracks: Limelight, Middletown Dreams, The Past, Manhattan Project. What's also really cool is on stage with them was a string ensemble. And Rush really enjoyed playing with that string ensemble. It's documented on this Blu-ray and on my Blu-ray and in the documentary as well. And yeah, it worked out beautifully for them. It's something they always wanted to do. And when they did it, it went well. So I love that. And kind of rewinding slightly, this and the Blu-ray that goes with it. Fantastic recording. The Time Machine tour. And this is where, because of Clockwork Angels and in and around that time, they went just kind of full steampunk kind of look, which I love. I love that kind of look. And their on-stage stuff. And, man, Rush, their stagecraft just got better and better and better, didn't it? Wow. It's not enough that it's the music and lyrics and tours and videos and TV and movies and books, right? All of that. Kings of all media. They gave us so much. And then their stage shows were just so not only is the music insane and beautiful, and then the lyrics, but what we're seeing visually is just stunning, right? And in a sensibility that I just love, okay? But doesn't that make sense? We love the band, and I love that how they presented themselves visually matched the things that I like, okay? Yeah, they could have gone in some weird direction. You might argue what they did in the early days, right? But in those later years, though, and they toured so much, up until the end, their stagecraft was just second to none.